Okay, so today we're talking with Joshua Weeks, who is quite a well-renowned artist, not only in Hawke's Bay but in New Zealand. And Joshua, we only met quite recently.
Very recently.
I think kind of the surprising thing, and we've got some of your art here, kind of surprising thing is that no one's really painted this. Like, the earthquake's been around for 70, 80 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And no one's painted it.
Not to my knowledge, no.
When did you go, I'm going to paint earthquake scenes?
I started off painting future imagined world cities in an apocalyptic manner.
Whoa.
And I sort of felt that it wasn't relatable to people. And then I thought, well, where I'm from, and I was in Dunedin at this point, studying my honours degree, and I thought, well, where I'm from, we have a sort of an apocalyptic disaster scene, if you will. And I thought, for more context towards people in general, it would be good to do that and to depict that, and it'd be more important to viewers, I thought. And yeah, no one's ever really touched on it. There's a couple of famous paintings where they've painted a rebuild, and that's about it. But generally, it's just photography. Yeah.
Interesting. So that part of the future apocalyptic side, that's got quite a shock factor to it. So that's something that was driving your art before you came across the earthquake scene in Napier.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why artists in general haven't painted it, because it's got that kind of negative connotations of something bad or ominous happening in the future?
Yeah, I think tertiary education sort of spelled that out in a way, because it kind of guides you to think a little bit more out the box, and to something that you're painting where you're not painting something you want other people to enjoy. You're forwarding your thinking or understanding of feeling and emotion. So you're not concerned about what people think generally. So if you're going to think commercially, you're going to think of painting something that's depressing or dark or just moody.
Right, and you've managed to do that. And before this interview, we were talking about some of the commissions you've done and got coming up.
Yeah.
How did you make that switch from painting it because you're interested in it and enjoyed it through to having a commercial value?
The commercial value comes about through, you've just got to start off basically. It's like, I'm going to go for it, going to paint it, and then you kind of gauge whether people are relating to it or not, or enjoy it. It becomes commercial when people want to buy it, obviously. But I was fortunate with the Vigor Brown family. Vigor Brown family are well known in Hawke's Bay, and I was approached by Rob, the grandson of John Vigor Brown, who was the mayor during the earthquake in Napier. And he owned the Masonic Hotel, which is this one here, this building here. And it does become commercial when people enjoy it and find value in it. But it's not painted for that purpose. The purpose is showing or depicting something that is important to location and history and place. So that's why I painted it, not for anything commercial, but like you say, no one else has painted it, and that's sort of what I thought, and I went with it because I thought it was something special. Yeah.
So given that, let's talk us through this painting here, this scene here. Like, you can't go back in time, so how do you get the details? How much is remembered or from photos versus how much can you add that sort of artistic license?
So I have permission from the MKTG Museum and Art Gallery to use some of their photography as reference. This image, along with the others as well, is collage of various different images. So for this one, it's commissioned. We have, I think his last name's Archibald, or Larkin, sorry, and he's sort of collaged in. So I do that with quite a lot of things. The houses, I'd have to go and research. I scrambled around people's gardens to find the windows that were the proper shape for that time. That house up there is still there. So yeah, I was in the front garden of that taking photos. So it's collaged. I've got lots of different photos and references, just to get all the imagery so accurate. And the accuracy is what I'm trying to do as well, just because it is history painting at the end of the day, it has to be accurate. But yeah, it's a collage of works of other photos, and yeah.
And were you specific on the size, or did you start small and go big, or what's the? Because this is quite a this is almost like 2 meters wide here.
Yeah. Rob Vigor Brown, he sort of said, after I did a couple of other smaller commissions for him, he said that size isn't a problem. should we go for shock and awe and see how big we can get. So I thought, well, this would be a good sort of size to start off with in terms of a big painting. It will get framed, so it will be a bit bigger in general once it happens. But yeah, it immerses people quite well when they're bigger.
Okay. Now, with this size of painting, you're obviously going to need quite a large studio, and we've been talking about, prior to this, about what plans you've got to open that up to the public.
Yep.
How have you gone about that whole process?
So I've got a studio in Tennyson Street, Napier, and that I thought was a move that was related to the painting I'm doing. So obviously Napier CBD, that if I had a studio in that space, it enabled me to be in the environment, and that sort of helps the creative process, I think. But to get the work out there, most artists will have regular exhibitions here and there, but I sort of felt it'd be nice to have people considering my location to come in and have it as an open studio. So open studio dash gallery is what I've got, and I'm trying to aim for as a business. But basically, just to have, unlike a lot of artists who have a closed studio and they work and then put their paintings out, I thought it'd be nice as well to have people in and see the process as well.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. I'd like to see how you go about setting up a painting for this, and all of the stages, particularly if it's a commission, I'd like to be able to see it along the way.
Yep.
Although, does that then open you up to someone saying, hey, can you do this slightly different? Like you haven't seen the full finished product yet.
Yeah, you get that a lot with art commissions, and especially photography. I think in my experience, people will see someone's work and go, but I want this. Therefore, it doesn't really become the artist's original work, but it's dictated by what the client wants. Okay. However, I don't like to be dictated by the client. I'd rather do the process that is my way, and for the client just to be happy with that, because at the end of the day it's my painting. But so far I've had all good clients, and they've never really stuck their nose into the process, so it's good. Yeah, so I don't mind having people come in at any stage.
Nice. And for this new studio, will it all be large format like this, or have you got some smaller formats that you're going to be looking at? Smaller
paintings. Obviously, it's not just earthquake paintings I do, but there'll be other scenes of Hawke's Bay. I think I live on a little yacht in Ahuriri, so there's going to be.
You live on a yacht?
Yeah,
that's
cool.
Cool.
Places. And that's another influence. So it'll be another series of works I'm doing that will be sort of stormy versions of Cape Kidnappers or Portland Island and East Island, and that's just on experience and influence from another part of my sailing life.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you actually get to go out sailing to places that artists may not have been to paint.
Yeah.
In the hope to bring some of those scenes to Hawke's Bay residents that have actually never seen that aspect.
Exactly, and so the views will be from the water looking inland,
wow.
As opposed to a lot of artists that will do beach scenes and scenes looking out. My ones will be something you haven't seen an angle or perspective from. So one of the ones I've got underway at the moment is Bluff Hill, and it'll be foggy and stormy, just to add to the moody context, I think. But awesome. Yeah, something that you don't get to see very often.
Will those be back in time, or will those be as of 2016?
2016, and that's sort of my contemporary line of work. Along with the history paintings, the earthquake paintings I am doing pre-earthquake Ahuriri harbour sailing club scenes, just to add a positive spin on the history. Yeah. It's not all depressing. And that's another thing that people don't often get to see, is that pre-earthquake landscape. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of angles and perspectives coming up that I'll try and show.
Very exciting. So when does your open gallery studio, when does that all come to life?
It all depends on the renovations and other artists I've invited to exhibit, and we're looking at mid-October.
That's not too far away.
No. But it is an open studio, so once you're in the space and painting, as long as you're happy to have people through, it's not a big step really.
Okay, yeah. And what will those hours be?
We're looking at 10 till 4:30, normal weekday.
Okay.
Monday to Friday.
And are those your hours you'll be working as well, or do you?
Yeah, I'll be working in the space, and I'm a terrible worker. I sometimes leave things too late, and I work all night, and so yeah, but having people in every set hours, yeah.
Excellent. So it's been good actually to see your work prior to this. I know that you've got some work down at Georgia on Tennyson.
Yeah.
Has that helped spread the word about what you're doing?
It's hard because it's a cafe. It's nice to get the images out there. I've had to put a little blurb up, but yeah, it's better in a gallery context where you can have floor talks and talk about it. But as I say, like the location's really important. It's in a fantastic spot to show images, and the response has been great because people have gone in and go, well, that's the street we're on, and then they can put it in context and reference it to the buildings that are still standing, and they can see it in the paintings. I had the Art Deco tour guides go through a few times.
They'd love it.
And they referenced the long painting, Tennyson Street, and this buildings are still standing. These are ones that go on, and they came and brought tour guides and people through. So as a response, it's been good, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure moving into the summer scene when there's tourists coming through as well, your work's going to be very popular. And I think for locals that haven't seen some of these angles and these scenes brought back to life in such a magnificent format and size, should be very exciting.
Yeah, and that's the premise for these works, is that, you know, we get to see and appreciate all the Art Deco we have, and it's a fantastic history, but you don't get a lot of why that's around, and that's why we have this and the disaster that brought it about. So, you know, it's lovely seeing a beautiful city, but there's always sort of a reason behind it, and yeah.
And that story you're bringing back to life. So, you know, well done for seeing that niche and an opportunity where, you know, there actually is a load of focus around the earthquake, but yet for some reason no one had painted it. And Josh, you're the guy that's managed to do that.
Yeah, somehow. Purely by accident almost, it feels, but yeah.
Or divine intervention, who knows?
I was destined to do it. Yeah.
Great, well thanks for jumping on the couch at Arlington and having a chat.
Appreciate it, thank you.
And the next question, Suneva asks, how do I narrow down exactly who my target market should be?
Narrowing down a target market. So it really depends on your business to start with. Target markets in a traditional sense can be around demographics, so age or location, and that's usually where a lot of marketers start and stop. I would suggest with target markets to look at it in a couple of different ways. Are you looking at your target market horizontally, or are you looking at it vertically? And what I mean by that is, for example, you know, Xero accounting services, that's very much a horizontal service. It doesn't matter which industry you are in, you can use that accounting service, and it's cloud-based. A vertical within Xero accounting may be Xero accounting for retailers, or Xero accounting for trucking companies. So you can niche down, and the reason that's important is if your business is very early stage, it is advisable, it's recommended to try and own a niche. In order to do that, you have to target a niche that's not massive. Target a small niche that you can win quickly, and then go on to a bigger niche that is maybe more competitive or is going to take you a longer time to establish a market share. So I think the advice there for Suneva, depending on the size and stage of her business, is to think about whether she's horizontal or vertical in her approach to that marketplace. And then once she's established that, working out what's the niche within a niche that she can go and target.